Supreme Commander is an event in DC Dark Legion that's all about resource management. It's a weekly event that lasts 5 days, and it's probably one of the most important events in the game for free-to-play players and light spenders. And that's because it allows you to accumulate the gems needed to buy the cheapest anvils in Interstellar Visitor and in the Mystery Store. Now, a lot of you in the community have been asking all weekend about how this event works, and what you should be saving for it. In today's video, I'll be covering everything you need to know to get the maximum value out of this event. So grab your coffee or an energy drink and let's take a closer look. Now, when I first started playing this game, I, probably like you, refused to save any of my resources for Supreme Commander because I've always played games where it made a lot more sense to go ahead and spend those resources immediately to get your champions and the rest of your team built up as soon as you have the materials to do so. And in general, I still stand by the concept that early on in a game, like in the first few days that you're playing it, you really do need to be spending all of those resources that you gain back into your account. In this game, with the exception of gems, you need to be saving your gems and being stingy with those. But when it comes to DC Dark Legion, things work just a little bit different because of this Supreme Commander event. A few months ago, my friend Sekju, another Server 204 player, showed me a few tips on why it's so important to save your resources for this event each week. And I want to show some of those tips to you today. Keep in mind that non-spenders may find it difficult to max out each day of the event, but sometimes I find that just knowing what is required is half the battle. Just do what you can each day, and remember that even if you don't want to save all of your resources for this event, the most important ones to save up are your drones, your anvils, your mother boxes, and your champion shards. I would say my personal one caveat to this rule is I typically, for my best champions, so the top 2, 3, 4 champions that I know I'm going to be playing with long term, I go ahead and spend any champion shards that I receive as soon as I get them. I think Superman would probably be a good example of this one. If you pull Superman, don't save his shards. Go ahead and spend those to upgrade his stars and get him working a little bit better for your account. So day one, or stage one, is called intel gathering. And on this day, you want to use all of your intel points first. So any intel points that you have, you can accumulate those intel point tokens. If you have any of those, you want to spend those first. Then you want to use about half your drones, or stop whenever you've maxed your rewards for the day. So typically that means you would complete all 3 rounds for that stage. And if you do use all of your drones and you still have points and you want to try to max this day out, you can use anvils to supplement that as needed. Just remember to be taking a look at the amount of points that you have and make sure that you stop as soon as those rewards are maxed. It's very important. Stage 2 is called Motherbox activation. And on this day, you want to open all of your mother boxes until you max your rewards for the day. Save any remaining mother boxes so that you can use them on day 5, or so that you can start saving up for the next week. It's worth noting that on day 2, you could also upgrade your legacy pieces, but we specifically want to save those legacy piece upgrades until day 5, because one thing that you'll see whenever you get into Supreme Commander for the first time is on day 5, all the amount of points that you get for each stage, it goes down on day 5. One good example of this is anvils. For days 1 through day 4, your anvils are going to count for 300 points, but on day 5, they will only count for 200 points. I believe drones typically would count for 30 points a day. They will only count for, I think, 20 on day 5. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong on that. But the point here is on day 5, you can kind of use everything to upgrade and try to get points. But on the other days, you're kind of limited to a few things. On day 2, this is probably the best example that there's one thing that's going to get you a ton of points really quickly, and that's mother boxes. So you really want to try to, utilize those other resources in different days. Now, stage 3 is called base expansion, and this one's sort of you're using a lot of things in your back cave for this date. You want to save your best tech research in the research lab so that you can use as many chips as possible on day 3. So if you're trying to min-max your research lab, make sure that you're using or doing some of the less expensive base research or combat research for other days of the week so that you're ready on day 3 to start a really long research that's going to cost a lot of chips. The other thing you want to do is craft all of your gear on this day. So you're going to use up all your alloys. You want to save them throughout the week, then craft everything on this date. So make sure you're planning around that as well. And then I mentioned you want to use around half of your drones on day 1. Hopefully you can max out that day by just doing that and doing your intel points. But if you have any drones left over, you really want to use those at this stage. And then obviously, if you're really trying to max out the rewards for this day, go ahead and use any of those anvils to supplement this as needed. Day 4 is all about champion shards. This stage is called champion training. And you want to use champion shards to upgrade your champions and prioritize the best champions first. So the champions that you know that you're going to be using in all the various game modes. So the ones that you know you use all the time in combat cycle, the ones that are helping you get through training simulator, the ones who are helping you get through story mode. Those are the champions that you want to upgrade on this day, and stop whenever you max your rewards for the day. Obviously, if you need to use all the shards that you have just to try to score as many points as you can on this day, do that. But if you do have any left over after you've hit the max, keep those for day 5. And obviously, you can use anvils to supplement here if needed as well. And finally, day 5 or stage 5, which is called the final sprint. You want to upgrade your legacy pieces first. Upgrade all of those that you've saved up for the week. And then you want to use champion shards. Use your drones if you have any. You'll probably accumulate a few between days 3 and day 5. Use your mother boxes that you have saved up, and then use anvils to supplement here if needed as well. I mentioned you should upgrade your legacy pieces first. The reason why I'm recommending that, if you evolve a legendary legacy piece, you're going to get 800 points. If you evolve a mythic legacy piece, you're going to get 4,000 points. And then your champion shards, you're going to get 80 points for each legendary champion shard that you spend, and you'll get 400 points for each mythic champion shard that you spend. So you're going to get a significant amount of points from upgrading legacy pieces and champion shards during this time. As I mentioned, you'll also earn 20 points for drones used, and then 20 points for any mother box points that you get. And you'll get more points for the higher value mother boxes as you go. An honorable mention for this day is intel points. You will get 10 points for each intel point spent through Anti-Crime Network. So that is an option that you have here. I didn't include it because I think typically you're going to hit what you need just by saving the ones that are mentioned here. But that's really it for Supreme Commander. It's not a super complex event. I think a lot of newer players have been just a little bit confused or concerned about how it works because they haven't had the opportunity to see it work in action. It's a very simple event. It doesn't take long to do. Really, you're just playing the game and you're getting points for it, and then you go into the Supreme Commander event tab and you claim everything out, and then you move on with your day. So I do hope this video companion has been helpful. I'll be providing this infographic on my Discord server as well as the official DC Dark Legion Discord server, and you'll probably be seeing it around in other places as well. Feel free to share this infographic with your leagues or with some of your friends who play the game. If you found this video helpful, I hope you'll consider liking and subscribing and tuning in for the next one.